I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. I'm Giulio. I'm joined by Francis and two delicious beverages that we're sipping on. I like that this is becoming sort of a bit of a routine for us.
Yeah, it is.
Sipping. Friday. Sipping a seltzer.
It's Friday.
Yeah, dude.
You made this a routine.
Did I? I guess, did I start
You
this?
Sneaky dog.
Fucking
Lord Farclaw.
Lord Farclaw, dude. Dude, I'm just going to get right into it, man. My girlfriend coughs so fucking loud. It's the craziest thing dude, like, we'll just be in bed, it'll be silent, and I'll just hear, and I'm just like, oh my God.
No.
That's not fair. That's not what it sounds
Is
like.
this new? You didn't know this?
I have known, and I'll be like, and she'll do it, and I'll just go, Jesus. And she's like, what? What do you want me to do? And I'm like, you're right. Yeah, like, I certainly do way weird, like worse shit than that.
Yeah.
And she's just a loud cougher. It's not gross at all. It's just loud. It's like startling.
That is one of those things. People's sneezing patterns and then the way they cough it either bothers you or it doesn't.
And dude, it doesn't bother me. It startles me. When I hear it.
Sucks. I know what you mean, and that sucks.
Not even trying to err. I feel bad. I mean, thank God it isn't something disgusting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I prefer startling because it's loud over something that's gross. She has no gross habits. She's a lovely person who I do not take for granted. So I feel bad coming in hot, bitching about her cough.
I don't think anyone would have thought that based on what you said, you were taking her for granted. I don't think people would be like, man, Giulio, you don't understand that her cough, you don't know what you got. I think if you had been like, I don't even know, what would be you showing that you took her for granted? What's something you would say where you took her for granted?
I don't know, just like not being... I don't know. Like when you get too comfortable with people, sometimes you just take them for granted.
Yes, that's true.
I try very much to never do that, and I don't. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
But she's a little upset with me because the evolution of my nicknames for her has started to get to a point where she's like, okay, we need to.
You do lay a number of nicknames on her,
on things and people. Because all right, so obviously the ones that we've all talked about, Hillman and all that kind of shit.
Hillman,
but then. Hillman, she's fine with. Hillman was fine, but then I was calling her Hilly, and then I was calling her Hilly Bean, and then I've just been calling her Hilly Fuck. And she goes, "What? What the fuck is that?" I just go, Hilly Fuck, and I can't help it. I just.
Yeah, I hear you, dude. Sometimes is it when you're excited?
Yeah, I'm outside. I'm like, Hilly Fuck.
You get excited. I hear you. I say crazy stuff to the dog the same way. I don't even realize what's coming out of my mouth. Yeah.
She's a nicknamer too, though. She will give me funny ones, but they're not like as stupid as mine. Like hers have a little more they're a little more sophisticated.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Like stupid. I don't know. Juji. I think that's a cute one.
Juji's nice.
You know, no one's ever called me Juji. It's a good one.
Juji Bean.
Juji Bean. You know, fucking I don't know.
Throw a bean on anything. It's cute.
Bean is cute. Bean is a good one, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But so, dude, we're drinking these seltzers. It's funny. I was at the bar at a comedy club the other day. One that we actually hung out there recently, uptown, Stand-Up New York.
Yeah.
And Greg, the bartender, who I've known for many, many years, great guy. I go, can I get a tequila soda? And he goes, sure. And he gave me a tequila sunrise. And he poured me a big one. And I just felt bad being like, I said tequila soda because, you know, at the comedy clubs, they give us drinks for free. So now I just have this tequila sunrise.
Imagine who would order a tequila sunrise in this day and age?
Dude, in like a 16-ounce plastic cup, like a Magnum tequila sunrise.
Is it tequila, orange juice, and cranberry juice?
Like, I think so, because it had like those two colors in it. And the guy I'm with, he was like, "Ooh, I'll have one too." So now we just both have tequila sodas or tequila sunrises. He finished his, and I saw this as a golden opportunity. I was like, "Do you want mine?"
Yeah.
And he had it.
Oh,
So this guy drank 32 ounces of tequila sunrise. That is
so
like,
much orange juice.
that is so bad, dude.
What is it, Chris? What's the drink? Oh, even worse.
Bro, okay, sorry. I'm gonna this is like a bit of a rogue move, but you just said that's so much orange juice. Listen to this email we got. It's so random and so funny.
Okay.
Okay, it's called Weird Sleepover Breakfast. Hi guys, Francis OJ at bedtime story gave me flashbacks to this awful experience. I slept over a friend's house when I was in first grade or second grade. Everything was fine until the morning after, when the entire family consciously chose to put orange juice in their cereal. There was no milk to be found. They served it to me as if there was nothing wrong. I tried to choke some of it down to be polite, but it was truly horrendous. Our friendship did not last. That is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
That is super weird, and super weird that they would have served it to this kid.
Dude.
It speaks of a family that has only ever been with itself.
Yes. Yes.
Every member of that family has never hung out with anybody else.
It's like a homeschool.
Stockholm
syndrome,
bomb shelter, sort of stockpiling,
Yes.
a survivalist family.
Correct. Drinking orange juice to get
This
vitamin
is the
C.
way it must be.
How crazy is that, bro?
That's weird and makes you wonder. Speaking of survivalist families, there's a book I read. I think maybe I've talked about it before. It was called Educated by Tara Westover. A lot of people read this book, and it's about a woman who grows up in a survivalist Mormon family, and they're constantly preparing for the day where like the government is going to come to their property and seize them, or like the world's going to end, and they're very suspicious of everything. And it's a horrifying book. But this girl goes on to somehow like get herself into the University of Utah, and then she graduates, cum laude, and then goes to Cambridge on a full scholarship, basically the Rhodes Scholarship for Cambridge, and then becomes like a brilliant writer. And
Not a true story?
no, it is a true
Oh, it is?
story.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, but her parents denied the veracity of the story. And I have some kind of doubts about it too, because she basically said that she and her siblings were all raised without schooling.
Right.
And they weren't given books and stuff like that, and they had a one copy of like an SAT prep book, which they basically studied secretly under candlelight or something, prepping for the standardized test. And yet of her like 4 or 5 siblings, 3 or 4 of them received PhDs from like top universities. They're all very academic.
So either the story has some holes in it, or the parents are just the most brilliant homeschoolers.
Or yeah, exactly. Or their system worked better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Which,
And the mom runs she sort of started developing these like homeopathic medicines. So she was mixing these elixirs and herbal remedies, for fixing stuff. And she branded it, and it became a really successful business.
Dude.
It's an interesting story.
That is
Educated
crazy.
by Tara Westover. Just read it with a little bit of a grain of salt, I think, because, as I always like to say, there's the author's truth, and then there's probably the parent's truth, and the real truth is somewhere in between.
Dude, that reminds me of, have you ever seen the movie Mommy Dearest?
No.
It's a supposed to be like autobiographical of like Joan Crawford's adopted daughter. Like, so the actress Joan Crawford, whatever, she was supposed to be like nuts. And the movie comes out, whatever. And then like so many people came and spoke out against the adopted daughter, saying that like the story wasn't true and that like she was embellishing and that Joan Crawford actually was like a great mother, blah, 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 whatever. And it's just crazy how that kind of stuff can become controversial.
Yeah.
Like people act like it didn't happen. Another interesting thing about that movie, they say that it like ruined Faye Dunaway's career because she played Joan Crawford so well and so crazily that like no one would cast her in other shit.
Isn't that weird? They say the same thing about the woman who played Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Really?
Nest. She was so evil and so disliked that nobody wanted to see that actress ever again.
Which, by the way, isn't that a bitch that they brought it back as a series, which is awesome, by the way. If you haven't
have they
watched
done?
it, it's on Netflix. Sarah Paulson plays Nurse Ratched. It's a spin-off.
Oh, and is it called Ratched?
It's called Ratched. It's fucking great.
Really?
I loved it, yeah. And I'm excited for the next season.
Wow. Unreal.
Crazy shit, bro.
Hmm.
Dude, sorry.
Well, I don't have a whole lot. What do you got?
I got something funny for you. My dad
Good.
has this thing that he likes to do.
Oh, good. I love
And
these.
I actually think it's pretty funny, but it's still such a my dad joke. So when he goes places and they ask him for an ID, which like shouldn't be happening, but you know, for protocol, you go to a liquor store or you're at the bank and they need your ID. What he does is he has the McLovin ID from Superbad, and he'll slide it, and like he has said that never has the person gotten the joke. They just look at him confused.
They've never gotten the joke?
Because like he's probably handed it to, you know, these like older people. Like, I don't know, the person working the desk at a liquor store is probably like, I don't know, some older guy or like.
But dude, it's strange. And it's also strange you mentioned this because I watched Superbad again for the first time in I don't know how many years. And it was I watched it and I thought this is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Dude, it's so good. I haven't watched it in a while. I'm glad to hear that it holds up.
An artistically brilliant movie.
So good.
All the kind of coloring and the shots and the whole, it's so simple. It's just the same teenage movie we've seen 100 times. Kids are in search of a party.
The dialogue's so funny.
You know, but that's the dialogue and the characters, you know, fucking, you know, Seth, the cops. They're characters you forget about. And they're really good. And that movie came out like, I don't know, 12 years ago?
It's crazy.
So many years ago. And it's weird to me that your dad would hand that ID to anybody who's too old to have seen that movie.
The Hawaii. Yeah, it's just
you know what I mean? Because it
yes.
came out so long ago.
Dude, absolutely. And I can't believe he still does it. He's been doing it for years. My dad has been handing the McLovin ID to people for years, dude. And it is funny, but every time he calls me to tell me that he's doing it once again, it's pretty funny to hear. Dude, it's funny. My dad will call me and like this reminded me because last episode you were talking about how golf kind of like, so my dad, he'll call me to like talk through his golf shit.
Dude, my dad does exactly the same thing.
He'll be like, I don't understand. How is it that I'll birdie the first 3 holes and then a triple bogey on 4? What was the point of even birdieing them? He's like, dude, but I need to remember that it's fun and that I shouldn't be.
I wish that's what my dad called me and did.
What is your dad?
My dad calls me. He called me yesterday and he goes, hey, Fran. And I'm like, hey, Dad, what's going on? And he goes, so something happened. And
like,
immediately, the same way that my girlfriend does this, my heart goes to like, okay, do I need to start looking at flights to get home?
Oh no. You were scared.
There have been enough health problems in the family that should not be the start of the sentence. But typically I don't get it from my dad. Mm-hmm. But I do get it from my girlfriend, right? And he goes, something happened. So I go, what? My heart's in my throat.
Oh no.
And he goes, I the driver has started to click. And he goes, and I'm really playing well. Instead of snap hooking it left as I usually do, my misses now are 2 yards off the fairway. And he is so intense in his delivery of this new development. It's as if he thinks that all his life I've thought of him as a failure. And he finally wants me to be proud of him.
That's good.
And I do think that that's part of it. You know what it is?
Yeah, I've heard that. Similar.
He was a really good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He was an All-American lacrosse and football player in high school, and then went and played it in college. He played lacrosse.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Well, he was recruited for, like by Princeton and stuff, and I think he got in, but then he chose to go to Amherst.
Oh.
Which is a
NESCAC
small
boy.
NESCAC D3 school.
Which my dad teaches at Wesleyan. So there's
That's
another
right.
connection.
Right.
NESCAC connection.
And I don't know exactly why he chose to go there, but then when I ended up playing Division I think that for him that meant that I was the better player.
He was upset?
I don't know. No, proud. Definitely proud.
Okay.
But it maybe in his mind diminished his own tales of lore, which he had regaled us with all of his life. Because all of a sudden I now had, let's call it a higher badge.
We were playing Williams one Thursday afternoon. Now those stories didn't hold up to you talking about
in his mind,
right.
and the truth is that all along I had never cared. No offense, Dad, but like he could have played professional lacrosse, and short of being a Hall of Fame NBA player, I don't know that our dad's war stories from high school sports ever matter to the kids.
That's great.
So now golf has been the one sport where he has continued to improve, even into
Which
his
makes
late
sense.
60s.
It's the only sport you can improve.
That's it. And so I think that it is his one way of clinging to some kind of authentic claim to athleticism that can be evidenced, in my eyes. And yet he cares so much that whenever he and I play together, he gets nervous and plays terribly. And I know he's a decent golfer. I know he is.
Yeah.
I've seen him shoot like 38 on a 9-hole.
And that's
on 9 holes.
That's an incredible score.
It's really good. But he can never maintain it because he freaks out.
Yes.
And tightens up, as so many people do. And he's a total head case. And so all the best rounds of golf that he's played are ones that he's had to recount to me over the phone,
right.
which I think he knows. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, sure. I wasn't there to see it.
Dude.
I believe him. I just don't care.
Father-son rivalry.
I just don't really care. And I am definitely a better golfer than he is. Mostly because I can hit the ball twice as far. Because I'm half of his age, less than half his age.
But as you know, that doesn't necessarily matter.
No.
I hit the ball way farther than my dad. My dad's 10 times better than me.
Well, yeah, but if you played as much as he does,
right? I don't play.
You would catch up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Who knows?
The point is that these conversations, these breakthrough conversations, happen somewhat regularly,
dude. To me too, and it's always funny. It's always like, so I made an adjustment with my irons.
Yeah.
And I am hitting the ball so far and so clean.
I had a lesson with the new pro, Ben. They got this new kid, Ben. He told me I was standing too close to the ball. That's the only thing that was missing. It's like, oh, really? What about the fact that you shank putts? Because you're sweating so much, you can't even grip the club.
Dude, I love the idea of you standing there, gets in your dad's head.
I feel bad. It's supposed to be fun, father-son golf.
It is.
And yet when I play
Not
with
the
him,
Ellises.
It's as if he's playing with all the demons of his life.
It's like you guys are the two guys at the top of the leaderboard at Augusta.
But I'm not even judgmental. Because when I play with him, I get psyched out if I play competitive golf.
Mhm.
You know, if there's money on the line or I'm playing in some kind of tournament, I get psyched out.
Yeah, right.
Playing with my dad or my friends and you know, having some beers, it's like that is fun no matter how
Yeah.
badly I play.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. I can be really competitive, but then other times I can be totally like, I don't care. Like, I'm not competitive with comedy. I'm not, I'll get competitive in like video games or ping pong or whatever. But then, like, if we were to go golfing, there's no chance I would be competitive. First of all, it would be ridiculous because you're a really good golfer and I'm not. So that would be insane to begin with.
Yes, but I think that you, like I, are able to enter certain, you know, competitive pursuits, setting your expectations at a reasonable level for yourself.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess there's something fun about competition. You know what I mean? Like,
For
I'm
sure.
okay with like, Abba is a better tennis player than me.
Yes.
You know, Abba is a
Okay.
step above me in tennis. That doesn't mean that upsets me. If he and I were to play each other, would I be upset? Would it upset me? No, of course not. I would try to win. If I didn't win, it wouldn't be bad. If I did win, I wouldn't go talk shit about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a way to like.
Right. So Abba is a
I'd be
much
like-
better tennis player than I am, and you are a much better tennis player than I am, and therefore I love playing tennis with both of you
Mhm.
because I don't have any thought of trying to beat you guys.
Right.
And it feels like you guys are giving me a free lesson.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I guess the competitive juices are more sparked when it's a more even match.
Yes.
That will make the juices.
Or especially if you're the better player, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Because then you have this fear of losing to a lesser opponent.
So this is, but it doesn't necessarily. It shouldn't matter because, dude, like in even the professional tennis, like the 100th guy in the world can take a set off Djokovic. He could win a match against Djokovic. Doesn't mean he's better.
Yeah, but that would eat at Djokovic.
Yeah, I guess you're
All
right.
those guys who are at that top level, they are so hyper competitive that it probably eats at
But
them.
dude, you can see when they lose, like they're usually really cool about losing.
it's because they've
You
played
lose
so many
so much.
hundreds of millions
Right,
of
exactly,
matches that
exactly.
they've learned the rhythms of. You know, there's like almost probably an autopilot response that kicks in of class and dignity, and you know, they understand that in addition to what that means to them personally, if they
Right.
were to throw their rackets and scream a bunch of F
Yeah.
words, they'd lose sponsors and stuff. There's
They still do it. I mean, guys will be pissed, but then they don't take it on the other person. And maybe that's because there's a system in place of like there's people making the calls, and you don't have to be. It's not like in college where it's like gets nasty because you're calling your own lines. And shit.
oh yeah,
That dude, I was watching college tennis on TV yesterday. It just makes me appreciate how good the pros are, seeing how bad the college guys are on TV.
yeah,
I was like, this is embarrassing.
yeah. It's a different speed,
It's just not even the same sport.
right? Isn't that interesting?
Crazy?
I never had that because college lacrosse, I mean, pro lacrosse is basically just college lacrosse.
Interesting.
There's no, well, it's better, the best of college lacrosse, but there's not that big of a pool to draw it from.
Right. And also, I mean, some sports, it's more like common to play college first.
Yeah.
Like in tennis, it's like unusual. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, interesting.
Dude, I had a funny thing happen the other day. I had I did a bar show for the first time.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic has struck. And for anybody listening who doesn't know about this, a bar show is essentially, it typically, in my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, be the most difficult situation in comedy, depending on the setup.
Sure.
Now, if you're in a room where the place where the show is happening is in the same place as the bar, and maybe the patrons don't know there's comedy, it can be a really kind of like stressful
It's a nightmare.
situation. I had to do half an hour.
Oh my God. At a bar show?
Yep, half an
Why?
hour at a bar show in Queens, drunk, because I agreed to do it. And it was like a decent payday for a Wednesday night.
They had you headlining it?
So there was a host, and then myself and Wally Collins both did a half an hour.
So it's just, wow. Okay. It's a small lineup.
Yeah. So, yeah, the show's like, an hour and change, whatever.
How much did you get paid for that?
Like $100.
Okay.
And the crowd is drunk as fuck. And dude, it made me remember this advice that I got from Gallagher. Remember Gallagher?
Well, everyone knows Gallagher.
Does everybody know Gallagher?
I think he's become a punchline as a name in a way, but he's known.
I don't know. Chris, do you know who Gallagher
Dude,
is?
he's the guy who smashed watermelons with hammers.
He was just like a nut,
He was a
real nutty,
prop comic, but
nutty guy.
would come out on stage and just blow shit up.
If you guys don't know who Gallagher is, look him up because he's nuts. And in my opinion, hilarious. Like, what an insane thing to be doing. He would just go out and destroy fruit
Didn't
with
he
a
have
mallet.
some kind of insane fall from grace?
Maybe. I don't know. I know
Something
that
insane happened.
he smoked a shit ton and I don't know, whatever. But dude,
Okay.
I remember one time he was at the club that I was at. He was coming around for a short period of time, a few years back. And he saw me perform. He was very complimentary, which obviously feels good when somebody like that gives you nice words. But then he was like, let me ask you a question. He's like, do you respect the audience? And I was like, I don't know. Like, is this a trick question? I was like, I guess. He's like, well, let me ask you this. How can you crush them if you respect them? And then he kind of just like floated away. And it was like the weirdest. But dude, I was trying to I was nervous before this spot because of how intimidating it was. And I kind of was trying to like channel that, even though it's like not a good, and I don't feel that way. Like I do respect the audience, but I was kind of like, okay, fuck, this show doesn't matter. Like just go do your thing. Don't get intimidated by these people, whatever. Show ends up being great. Ends up being it was a little tough. They were chatty and drunk and whatever, but end up getting through it, ended up being fine. And then I end up at the bar, and one of the guys from the show gets up and starts talking to me at the bar. If you guys ever go to a comedy show, there's certain things you don't say to the comedians when you're talking to them after. One of them, don't encourage them to stick with it. Even though that's well-intentioned, it's really condescending. There's something about it that implies that I have not yet made it. I don't make money doing this, which is not correct. I make money being an entertainer now.
And also, it implies that you're thinking about quitting.
Right.
And that if not for this fucking drunk loser,
Right.
you would be out of the game.
Right. And he's like, whatever this guy wants. I end up taking shots with this guy. I'm like, whatever. I don't get too offended by that. Like, it's fine, whatever. But there's certain, they just don't encourage us. There's no encouragement necessary.
Yeah.
If you want to say good job, that was great. If you'd like to ask us questions, since you obviously don't understand our lifestyle, please ask questions. But don't start telling us about life in our field that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But then at one point, dude, this was funny. He starts talking about how he is a garbage. He works with garbage. He's like, I'm in sanitation. Yeah. He's like, but if you need tickets to anything, let me know. And I was like, didn't you just say you're a garbage man? Like, what do you mean? Like tickets to the landfill?
Oh, did you say that?
No, of course not. But in my head, I'm like, what do you?
That's funny though.
Like, how do you go into telling me that's your job? But you also are the guy who can get tickets to everything?
Yeah.
That just is like something about it felt really stereotypical. A guy being like, call this number and you get Yankee tickets. It was just, dude, it was crazy. It just brought, it's nice. I remember experiencing this and being like, wow, stories of weird comedy shows are back.
Yeah.
I get to share this with the boys. So I don't know.
It's funny. That is funny. You know, he might not be wrong because let me tell you something. I went to England with my dad once and we went to Liverpool soccer game.
Oh, sick.
Against Manchester City. So it was a huge game.
Yeah.
Manchester City, the two teams were vying for the league. And
How long ago was this?
Probably 2 years ago.
Oh, so the Manchester City had already been bought by the rich guy.
Yeah, these were the two top teams in the whole league,
Wow.
and they had already distanced themselves from all the third place team, and it was a massive, massive game at Anfield at Liverpool, and my dad and I had to. This was we were going to the game. I think the day before we flew home, and so we had our golf clubs. We'd gone on a golf trip, and we needed to take all of our bags all the way from Liverpool to Manchester Airport, because we're staying at an airport hotel,
Okay.
drop our bags, and then come back to Liverpool
Yeah.
to go to the game. And we got in a cab and asked the guy if he could take us to the Manchester Airport and then bring us back to Liverpool. Now, Manchester's only 45 minutes from Liverpool. So it's not crazy. But it's also why the Manchester-Liverpool game, more Manchester United versus Liverpool, is considered almost a derby, like two teams from, they're huge rivals because they're so close to each other. It's like the Mets and the Yankees, whatever. And we get in this cab with this guy. And I mean, I have videos of him. He was a fan of Liverpool soccer in a way that made me think that I have never cared about a sports team at all. That every American fan I've ever met of any American sports team was just halfway there at best.
Interesting.
This guy, I am not kidding you. He starts telling us stories because we tell him we're going to the game, and he's so excited for us. He's going to the game too.
Mm-hmm.
He's got season tickets. He had season tickets. His father had season tickets. His father had season tickets. And he starts singing the songs and crying as he's driving us on the highway. Tears are coming down his face. And he goes, I get emotional. He's like, the team, it's my life. The team's my life. Fran. He kept calling me Fran.
Fran.
He's like, Corky. My dad, he's like, Corky, Fran, the team, you don't. He's like, oh, today it's gonna be buzzing. The place is gonna be buzzing. The Cop End, he's going on and on. He's telling us all these stories.
That's good.
He's got the whole history of the team. And, we grew to love this guy because we were in the car with him for an hour and a half, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. And at the end of that, he told us, like, if we ever want to come back to a Liverpool game, to hit him, to text him, he'll help us get tickets to anything.
Which seems like he
can, but he's a cab driver, right? So my point being, your garbage guy buddy
maybe
might be more plugged in
than I think.
Sometimes it's not necessarily the investment banker at Morgan Stanley.
I wasn't being condescending about his job.
That's not what I mean, because that's what I think. I'm like, oh, this guy can, through his bank's luxury box, get us, they have probably courtside seats or season tickets to Madison Square Garden or whatever. It's like, well, okay, but you never know.
Here's the difference.
What the Department of Sanitation can get.
Your guy specifically was talking about Liverpool, and you talked about Liverpool the whole time. My guy said, if you need tickets to anything. I'm like, oh, really? Can I get tickets to the Met Gala?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, get out of here, dude.
Gucci Mane?
Get tickets to anything, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God, dude.
Hey, your dad's calling.
Oh, he is.
How about that?
I know. We should one day we'll get him on here, dude.
Yeah, how about that? You know what your garbage man probably couldn't get you tickets to?
What?
Coffee Heaven. The only people that can give you tickets to Coffee Nirvana are our friends over at Brooklyn Roasting Company Coffee.
Dude, it's amazing how aromatic that is. Francis opened it.
It smells so good. It tastes even better.
Oh, baby.
Oh, we love that.
Oh,
smells like a coffee shop. Brooklyn Roasting Company, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is number one. It is the only, like, it's the only coffee I would need to drink for the rest of my life. I don't need to experiment anymore. I don't need to try
it smells so good. I'm eating
others. I've had enough coffee that this one to me stands out so far above and beyond the rest.
It's so good
that I'm satisfied. And as long as they will keep giving me coffee, I will just this will be it. This is it. This is all I want.
Dude, Brooklyn Coffee Roasters.
This is their
really
Sumatra
awesome.
Ketiara blend. It's earthy, black pepper, cocoa nibs, dark roast. I'm a big fan of their espressos too. I've been drinking a lot of this. I go through a lot of this stuff.
Good stuff, bro.
Use code OOPSBEANS. You'll get 5% off your first order. BrooklynRoasting.com. Guys, get some of this coffee. Trust me. You will not be unhappy. You can French press it. You can throw it in your machine. Anything you want. We have one of those lovely home espresso makers. So we love that.
It's really good shit.
Oops Beans. 5% off.
Dude, I have a question. Have you ever heard this saying? My buddy Brent, who I've mentioned on the podcast before, The guy loves to speak in sayings.
I also love the way you do an impression of him.
Yeah, he talks like this, Dude, he literally was telling me about a guy who he knows who has a lot of money, but that he's cheap. He goes, yeah, he's got deep pockets, but he's got those alligator arms. He goes, you got to hate those alligator arms.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's just too good.
His credit card just doesn't reach across the table all the way
Alligator
to the bill.
arms mean they're too short to reach in your pocket? Is that?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's good shit, dude.
Yeah, deep pockets, but alligator arms. Not a good combination.
Dude, too good. We got some emails if you want to get
Let's get into those emails, baby.
Okay, let's do it. So this one, I think that we can help our pal out here.
By the way, that short story that I mentioned in the last episode about the longest rain or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So many people DM'd me about how traumatized they were by that same
really
short story.
We got a couple emails about that
Yeah.
too. That's so funny. You never know what people are going to latch on to.
I know,
right?
exactly.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
All right. So this email is called Tips for College.
Okay.
Hello, Oops the Pod. My name is blank. I guess we'll just leave him anonymous just in case he didn't.
Let's call him Davey.
Davey. Dave East.
Yeah.
My name is Dave East, the rapper. No, whatever. I'm going to be a freshman in college in the fall. The college I'm attending is a known party school and also a known academic school. Is it Tulane? I'm trying to think of what's like a school that has a pretty good academic reputation, but also known as a party school.
Well, I honestly, my mind goes to like UVA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that about UVA. Which is also another funny thing that like where depending on where you're from shapes which places you think are really good schools or not.
Or
party schools.
Sure, but dude, also fucking hell, you could say any school is a big party school.
Yeah, but you
with the
also,
exception of like MIT.
No, dude. Some schools are like party schools.
Dude, Dartmouth is a huge party school. And it's also an Ivy League school.
There's an example. Maybe that's where our buddy's going.
But my point is that there are probably a huge portion of kids at Dartmouth who don't touch a sip of alcohol their entire time there. Or maybe,
But dude, when you say a party school, you don't say Dartmouth. You say Arizona. You do still say Tulane, even though Tulane has a reasonably good academics.
Okay,
Maybe not
yeah,
to you,
the big state schools, right?
Sure. Yes.
Any school that has a really good football team, I feel like is a big
That's
party
true.
school.
Inevitably.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. That was a really good point, dude.
Georgia, Missouri, Mississippi,
Alabama,
Wisconsin, Penn State.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Dude, the stories that my girlfriend tells me about her time at Penn State make me think that I went to military school by comparison.
Yeah, I didn't feel like my school was that crazy either.
Yeah.
All right. He goes, I was wondering if you two have any tips for me or any other freshmen going into college that you wish you two would have heard before going into college. Relatively new listener. You guys are my favorite pod. Got through the pandy because of it. Thank you guys. Awesome. Thank you.
I got one right off the bat. As a freshman, I wish that I had known to choose my classes based on what I found interesting as opposed to which classes I thought would be easy.
Oh, interesting.
Number one.
That's a good one.
That's my number one tip. And the reason is the classes that I found interesting, I did better in, even if they were harder than the easy classes.
Right.
Because I tried and I went to the classes.
Dude, perfect example. I took French 1 in college, even though I had taken 5 years of French going into college because I thought I was going to get a good grade. Didn't realize class would be every day. I ended up skipping half the classes and like getting a B-.
Yeah, you get smoked. That's it, man. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And also you just don't give a shit, so you don't apply yourself. Whereas like, I don't know. I mean, the harder classes that were still that were interesting to me, I tried. And if you got to try. If you're gonna try, then you're gonna do better than the classes where you're just like, well, I'm gonna do the bare minimum and mail it in.
Totally. And so on top of that, I would add that try. Try to care. Try to force yourself to care because I found myself not caring until it was too late. Like junior year, I got my shit together and I started doing well. And first of all, the damage that you do freshman year, it's impossible to overcome. If you do really shitty, your GPA is fucked. Like you can't, you're just done. It's over.
Barely moves forward.
So my actual advice to anybody considering going to be a freshman in college is take a fucking year off. That's my actual advice. For me personally, I needed more time to become a serious enough person to get as much out of college as I needed.
Yeah, but dude, the problem is that I feel like a lot of kids would take a year off and become less serious people.
It's possible. Listen, that's definitely a risk, but I don't think for me personally, I would have ended up still going. It didn't make sense. It was too complicated with sports, whatever, red shirting, blah, 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 this and that. Like I needed to go and start playing sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I didn't feel mature enough to get the most out of college. I cared too much about social shit. I just didn't care about school my first 2 years at all.
Yeah. It's so tough to ask an 18-year-old to arrive with a sense of how to balance social life and like your job, which is, doing well in school. But I will say that, looking back, I feel like I'm much happier that I don't feel like I left a lot on the table in terms of school, as opposed to feeling FOMO for the nights that I decided not to go out,
Right.
and blow up and do karaoke.
Well, dude, did you feel that sports kind of kept you honest?
Sports was
For me too.
impossible, dude.
Yeah, it was impossible.
It
And
was
I
a
missed
fucking
out.
nightmare.
I missed out on spring break. There were things I didn't
I missed
get to do.
every spring break.
Yeah,
Not a single one.
I didn't go on spring break once.
Not one time.
Yeah. And, you'd have a match. And, like, some nights I would still have a couple of drinks the night before a match, or some nights too many drinks and, like, still go out there and have to play and whatever, or before practice, this and that. But, like, knowing that was there kept me behaving
man.
within a reasonable spectrum.
Sports was just such a fucking grind. My body hurt constantly.
Such
and I
a
was
grind.
19.
I know.
Your joints, you back pain, knee pain, ankles rolled, all this shit. Constantly in the training room, icing.
Yeah.
We'd had this cold tub.
Oh, those
I
are
would do
great.
hot tub before practice, and then I do the cold tub after.
Dude, I still do the cold tub.
Where do you do a cold tub?
So I actually go to I go to this place, Bath House,
Oh yeah,
which is not far from where you live.
It's over here.
It's in Williamsburg.
Oh okay.
But I mean, any place like that typically has a cold plunge, but
Yeah.
I treat it like an ice bath. I go in for 10 minutes. And it's actually funny because the people there are like, oh, are you seeing what that guy's doing? Like, I actually feel kind of cool. But they don't realize that, like, that's a thing that you actually do.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they don't know that when you stay in for a minute, you don't feel it anymore.
No, you don't.
It hurts so bad at first, but literally it's like the ultimate deflammatory thing you
It's
can do.
amazing.
It
It's amazing.
feels so good. And anytime I like run or I do something that like my body can't handle as well as it used to, I always try to schedule a place where I can get into one of those afterwards.
Boy, that's impressive. I wouldn't even know where to find one of those things. I will say this.
They're awesome.
You know how we have our roof deck?
Yeah.
I really want a pool, a little kiddie pool, just like a 1 to 2 person thing that I can sit in.
But do you want a cold plunge or you want like just a little hot tub or something?
I don't want a hot tub.
You want like a little pool.
I want something that will be cold in the summer,
Okay.
but not necessarily joint deflaming cold.
Hey, well, listen, I got a guy. You need anything, you let me know. I know a guy who'll do it for you. Just tell him Tommy sent you. But dude, that's
Nice.
great. I mean, that roof is looking real fucking good, man.
Yeah, she's coming along.
Francis, why don't you just keep hosing yourself down?
So that's what I did earlier today. I got home. I was really hot. Got home from golf, and Chris, I was here setting up, and I was like, dude, I'm going up to the roof, and I'm gonna blast myself with the hose. He's like, why don't you just take a shower? And I was like,
It doesn't hit.
I've been thinking about the hose. I want to be like a guy who just arrived at prison.
Did it feel good?
I want to be like a guy who, got skunked. It felt pretty good. It wasn't quite hot enough for it to be refreshing. It just got a little cold.
It's just like, ugh!
Yeah, when I went down my back with it,
Dude,
I lost my breath a little.
I can't do cold showers. I just can't do it.
No?
I can do the cold tub. I can't do a cold shower.
You need immersion, huh?
Yeah, I need I need immersion.
Wow.
But dude, I'll tell you what, man. I know I've said it before, but I'm just so happy that the spa is a thing that you can do again.
Yeah.
Dude, I know you go to Vegas every once in a while, man. Next time you go, I would like to challenge you to try out a Vegas spa.
Okay.
They're the best.
Okay.
And dude, what I do, like when I was there for a while doing shows, I would go to a different one at a different hotel every day.
Interesting.
And you have to pay a fee if you're not staying there, but like it's worth it to see their setup. Like some places have these experiential showers where like you hit a button and the lights go off and then you just hear, ah, and then just a monsoon happens. Dude, the Venetian, dude. I'm telling you, I love the spa more than anything in the world.
That's interesting.
It's such a relaxing. It's the way that I relax.
It doesn't do
No
a whole
phone.
lot for me.
Dude, I'll take you some time.
Okay,
When
I think
it
I need to go
fits.
with the right people. Yeah, that's it.
It's actually also really fun to go with a friend.
Is it?
You chat, you sweat together, and when you're with somebody else too, it makes you forget like how painful it is when you have someone to talk
I
to.
see. Isn't that fun?
But dude, I told you this. Sometimes it's a wild card. You never know how people are going to act at the spa. I went to
Right.
the Korean spa in LA. I brought my friend Jarrell, and we go into the Bulgama, which is the hottest sauna of all of them, and he just starts reciting a Shakespeare soliloquy with like 9 people sitting around him, with his eyes closed, being like whatever famous one, like I didn't
2
recognize it.
households, both alike in dignity.
But saying it 2 households,
Yeah.
both alike in dignity.
in Faverona,
Yeah, dude.
where we lay our scene.
Dude, I remember in acting class, they used to say that you don't have to act in Shakespeare because it's so well written that like you don't have to do anything with the language.
That's
But-
horseshit, though. That's horseshit because there are comedic scenes and there are dramatic scenes.
Right,
and
but the
there
argument
are,
is that it's all there for you and you don't have to do anything
then
more.
you're just you're doing a table read.
But reciting the language properly is the thing that gets you the good grade.
Mm,
I struggled with it.
I took a acting Shakespeare class in college.
It's tough.
I liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
I hated it. It was a tough
Well,
one for
the
me.
acting classes at school were, if you did well, I mean, you got an A- no matter what, pretty much.
Got it.
And the homework was like, learn the scene,
Right.
which was easier than write a 14-page paper on
Right.
some crazy thing.
Dude, I took it in conservatory, and they make you wear all black.
Uh-huh.
And dude, every single day somebody from class would cry. Not because they were in a scene, because they were like, the stakes were so high.
That's
it was
crazy.
so stressful. Like it was a
Well,
really intense
we don't
time.
know much about your acting training. How long did you do that for? Conservatory.
Like I did parts of this program. I wasn't in like full-time conservatory for like 4 years or something, but I did like a 3-year thing that was
Wow.
like really intense for 9 months. And then after that was like, I still had scene study class. I still had that, but it wasn't like
Right.
5 days a week.
Right.
So it was like pretty intense, but not like as intense as like a Juilliard or like whatever, like that kind of level of full-time acting conservatory kind of thing.
Mhm.
But it was great. It was good training, and whatever.
Cool, man. Well,
good shit.
I was thinking about this. Do you ever? And let me preface it by saying this. I don't know if this is a female trait, a female specific trait. So I don't want to generalize, but 2 women have done this to me recently, and I therefore think it's a women thing.
Okay.
Where my girlfriend does this a lot. She will start telling me a story, but she doesn't give me enough information for me to understand it.
Interesting.
So she will start stories in the middle a lot.
So I'll tell you what. Before you continue, my girlfriend accuses me of doing that.
Really?
So maybe it's
Then it doesn't sound like it's a female
maybe it's
thing.
not a female thing, because she'll say, "Whoa, back up. I need more information."
Yeah. It's as if I caught the second half of a book on tape. She comes in and she's telling me a story and throwing names at me, and I have no idea who these people are. Co-workers, bosses,
Say yes.
friends, enemies.
I'm guilty.
And
as charged.
it's as if she thinks that I have access to the blueprint of her mind, so I can kind of get the footnotes as needed. And I have to ask lots of clarifying questions, which sometimes she finds almost annoying. She's like, why aren't you letting me finish? And I'm like, well, I don't know what the
what's
fuck
happening.
is going on right now. A listener DM'd me a story that had so much missing information. And
what was the story?
I wouldn't even know where it was. And it was so many weeks ago. And it was intriguing, but filled with holes. And I was like, hang on a second. What did you mean by that? Who's this? She was like, oh, sorry. You're right. I'll back up. And then she started at the beginning. And I was like, yeah, I mean, all of that was required. I'm a stranger to you.
Right.
I don't know you. You and I don't have any frame of reference. All of the things that you left out the first time, I needed.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be made to feel stupid either. So what is that about?
Right. Dude,
why does that? Because it sounds like you do it.
I do it too. So this is the thing. I don't mean to. And when I do and get called out for it, I will realize what I've done, and I give background information. It sounds like your girl, it doubles down on the fact that you should just understand.
No, that was the girl in the DMs maybe, but my girlfriend's pretty good about it. But
okay.
I'm guilty, unfortunately, of providing too many details.
Well, I'm also wondering if you just missed the details at some point along the way, and that might be why she's upset, because she thinks you know the foundation information, but you don't.
It goes back to what I was saying, I think, in the last episode, which is that you should err on the side of explaining things to me as though I am brain dead.
It's the theme of the week.
Yeah.
Explain it to Francis from square one.
If you have visual aids, that helps. Dude, I was thinking about this. Speaking of college sports, there was a period I remember senior year where I was so incapable of understanding what the coach was explaining in terms of a drill or a new strategy or a new tactic, that the only way that I could do it was to start at the back of the line
and watch everyone
else go through it. By the third or fourth guy, I got it and I could do it.
Oh, what if he's like, Ellis? Then you'd be fucked.
Well, then I was always afraid because they would think like he's not listening. And a lot of the time I wasn't. I was daydreaming.
Right.
I would daydream constantly.
Were you good at math?
I was. Unfortunately, this is what happened. I was very good at math until my junior year of high school. I was a year ahead.
Oh, sick.
And in the like honors classes, and I was bumped up to the juniors classes as a sophomore, or maybe even as a freshman. I took the sophomore math. Sophomore, I took the junior math. It was sophomore year when I was taking the junior math class that the teacher I had was so bad.
Oh, interesting.
That I missed a year, basically.
Oh, wow.
I basically lost a year of math. And
then you could never.
And then in the next year, I was supposed to take, as a junior, I was supposed to take AP Calculus. And I took the first week of it. And the previous year had been so bad that I was like, I don't understand any of this. I'm not prepared. And they were like, well, you've had pre-calc. And I was like, I haven't. So they basically made me take another year of pre-calc, but I had the same teacher.
Dude, thank God. Shout out Mrs. Betts. Killed it in pre-calc.
Dude, and the whole thing set me on this trend of feeling like all of a sudden I wasn't a good math student. And let me tell you something, Giulio. If I can advise that college student again, or anyone listening, the friends in my life that I have who are the most successful financially are all friends who knew their way around math. Not computer science, not finance. I mean, it all comes into that, but math was the thing that translated to astronomical wealth as an adult.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Proof's in the pudding, baby.
Everything we're doing now, everything that it is leading to people finding an edge, angles, all of that, math.
Fuck, dude.
So make sure your kid is up on that shit. I was driving through Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn the other day, and I saw a Kumon Math Center.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I would raise kids here. I think a Kumon Math Center is a very important sign of gentrification, and you could raise kids in this area.
Dude, totally. And I stopped taking math after pre-calc, and now I get talked down to by Garbageman at the bar.
Stick with it. Stick with it.
Dude,
Go to Kumon.
I don't mean to, I'm not meaning to shit on garbage people
Yeah.
who work, and this guy in particular deserves to be shit on though. Dude, I have an email that I need to read to you before this episode's
Yeah,
over.
please. Yeah, please.
Because I think you're really gonna
Yeah,
like
give it to me. Lay it on there.
In the spirit of oops, and in light of your conversation about Francis, I don't know what this is. All right, it doesn't matter. I thought I would share a cringeworthy life lesson I learned from Francis himself.
Uh-oh.
That if one were not self-reflective and critical, he or she may miss an opportunity for personal enrichment, even if it means feeling silly.
This sounds like how I tell stories.
So,
Very verbose.
for context, Francis and I have a mutual friend who invited me to golf with them in Maine during the summer between freshman and sophomore year of college.
Okay, hold on a second. I got to think about who this is. So I know this guy?
Yes, you've met this guy. So just bear with me.
Between freshman and sophomore year of college, we went golfing, me and
Yes,
this guy?
yes.
Okay.
Francis was an enigma because he was so far beyond the bullshit most teenagers exhibit, which for some may be intimidating or off-putting, but I actually found his confidence to be inspiring. So after a shitty game of golf, which by the way, I can personally confirm Francis is patient with novice golfers, we went to eat at Macaroni Grill. It was a fairly cloudy and unseasonably cool day, but for some inexplainable reason, I thought I would try to be cool myself by having my window rolled down with rap music blaring at a high volume pulling into the parking lot. So I guess you guys took separate cars.
I went to the Macaroni Grill with these guys?
I don't even really like rap music. I picked one of the only songs that I know all the words to by Young Jock, so that I would appear to be cool in front of Francis Ellis. Francis and our mutual friend pull into the parking spot next to me, music still outrageously loud. As I'm rolling up the window, Francis goes, "Why is your window down? It's like 50 degrees. Are you trying to show how cool you are by playing loud music with your window down?" Yes, actually I was. I think a lot of people would be turned off by a frank and blunt question like that, but a spade is a spade. I've thought about that a lot when I try and do something uncharacteristic of myself to impress others. I appreciate that about both of you. Actually, you both are who you are, and that's what makes this pod so great. Lesson learned. Don't try to impress others by being someone you're not. It's just cringeworthy what we go through in order to figure out who we are.
Oh my goodness. What an incredible, first of all, incredibly well-written email. Really, really incredible. Can I look and see who wrote that?
Dude, he's apparently a priest.
I know who this kid is. Yeah, I do. He's a really good dude.
It sounds
This
like
is a really great person.
awesome.
And I have not seen him in so many years. And it's amazing. Yes, he joined the ministry. It's amazing that he remembers this vividly. And I feel bad that I gave him shit for that. Because he is he's a guy who never said a bad word about anybody.
Right.
And smiled all the time.
Dude, what a great quality.
And is just a wonderful, wonderful guy. So, I'm sorry. I'll say his name. Will.
Dude,
I'm sorry,
Will. He deserved
Will.
it, bro. He deserved it.
No, he didn't. But, I will also add that was what, freshman year of college? So I'm
Sounds
18,
like it,
19. 19. This, someone hit me up, a girl that I went to like pre-middle school with, like 4th and 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that I used to bully her.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if she said that I bullied her, but that one time I like made a comment about her weight. Because I think that at that age, maybe she was a little overweight. And I was mortified.
Did you even remember?
Well, I remembered her, but I didn't remember saying anything about her weight to her. But I think that, there are things that I have said and done from my life where by virtue of saying them and doing them and then being reprimanded for them, I learned that it was wrong.
Mhm.
And then I didn't do it anymore. And that is growth.
Totally.
But
that also doesn't apply to the story we just read.
no, fine. You're
That
right.
was
That's
fair.
funny.
That
That's
was funny. That
yeah. But if you took inventory of all of those things that I have said and done, and you didn't then put the ensuing years of clean behavior in that regard,
Yeah.
you would think that I was a huge asshole.
Right.
And I think that's true of everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that is what a lot of people end up getting in trouble for these days. And we don't value the lesson learned as much as we criticize the original fault.
Right.
In my mind, it's a problem if that person did it, got in trouble, and then continued to do it.
Mhm.
Because that just means they're an asshole and they're just not capable of learning. But yeah, I mean, in 4th grade, 5th grade, I called a girl fat. I'm sure I did. And now, as an adult, I would never do that. I would never do that. I would know better than to do that.
Obviously. Yeah.
And I'm sickened that this girl probably thought I was a huge asshole for like 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She DM'd me about it. And now she said that she's a fan. She listens to the podcast.
It's great.
And it broke my heart, right? That I, in her mind, had just been a bully for decades of her life.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we never spoke after like that day.
Mm-hmm.
And she just graduated she's got her master's degree. I messaged her and like congratulated her. And I've always felt bad about any shit that I did when I was just too young to know any better. When I did it because I needed to be told that was wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, listen, the other thing to remember, and this is why, bullying is such it's a complicated thing. It doesn't necessarily seem like it is, but, you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like kids are shitty.
Well, that's the thing.
And
I was
like,
bullied. I was bullied too.
I
know I was bullied.
Yeah. And dude, I certainly got picked on too at moments. And it's funny, like if I were to have picked on somebody, I don't remember. You know what I mean? It seems like if someone were to tell me that, I would obviously be surprised the way that you were. You probably don't even remember that happened, obviously.
Right.
Right. And like, it's just, dude, it's one of those things that how can somebody hold it against you when you were a little kid, dude? You shouldn't take that too hard, man. You're not a dick as an adult.
But okay, so where does consciousness set in?
Listen, you learn that lesson. Like you said, you're a kid. You hopefully are learning, hey, don't do that. Maybe the teacher sees you do it. Maybe somehow you learn that that's wrong, right? That's what should happen. Maybe it doesn't happen and then you grow up and then, I don't know, you feel bad or you don't remember or something. But like, listen, you're still just a kid, man. And like, even though that's fucked up of you, I don't think that I think it's equally inappropriate to hold that grudge about something that happened to you when you were 10, when you're an adult.
And
even though that's what we do.
Right, we do. I mean, I remember kids from my childhood who did things that were mean or wrong to me, and I've hated them.
Yeah.
Or forgotten about them. But if somebody brought them up, I was like, oh yeah, fuck that guy.
Right.
And for all I know, that dude could be
a great
working
guy
for Habitat for Humanity now, or a priest or something, whatever it is.
Exactly.
They've righted the ship. They've gotten rid of their bad ways.
They've grown up.
Yeah. But my question stands. What age do you think consciousness sets in where anything after a certain date?
Right.
And obviously the crimes are different. Like, if you punch a little girl when you're 3 years old, that's no big deal.
Right.
If you punch a girl when you're 10,
right.
bigger deal. If you punch a girl when you're 18, you're a fucking
You're going to jail.
asshole. Yeah. So
right. I would say honestly, dude, like 13, 14, you start to be a little bit accountable. More like, I mean, the older you get, the more and more accountable you get for sure. But like, I think that some degree of accountability starts, I would say, around that age, maybe. And maybe I'm pulling
Now-
that out of my ass.
Yeah.
Middle
Right.
school, high school, like that's an age where maybe you should know better.
Right.
I think. I don't know.
Right. Well, some people don't get taught those lessons until later.
Yeah.
Because their parents don't, instill it or whatever.
Maybe they come from like shitty homes where their parents
Yeah.
are dicks to them, or maybe they're just assholes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Complicated.
Fascinating stuff.
Good shit.
I feel like I have so much more to say on that subject, but it does fascinate me. But I'm ready to rock. Let's
We've gone
wrap
for-
that
we-
shit,
yeah, we've-
baby.
Dude, great episode, guys. Thank you for riding with us. We're excited about the summer. It's gonna be great. You can follow Francis at FrancisCCLS. Follow me at Not Julio. Send us your thoughts, your stories to hoopsthepodcast@gmail.com. And thanks again.